Welcome to Be a Voice. This is Britt Carpenter on Usala Media. Thanks for joining me today. My guest today is a good friend of mine and somebody I've known for several years, and I've watched his journey and I've watched him grow and evolve on his journey, and it's been incredible. It's been incredible to see what he's been doing, what he's put into it, where he's at now, and where he's going. Today, my guest is Alloyius Mcilwaine. Hey, Alloyius.
Hey, thank you for the kind words.
Oh my gosh, kind words. There was the truth, man. I remember we met. The first time we met was on a boat.
That's right. Wow.
You had done the cover. You had just painted Tammy Jean, a human paint. And we met on the boat for the boat party.
I do remember that party. That was fun.
It was a lot of fun, and that was the connection we had. It was a smaller, and what I'm talking about is Philly Current magazine.
Yeah.
Philly Current magazine is a magazine, a print magazine, one of the few left that's actually really great magazine.
It's really, really great, like the layouts and everything. Yeah.
It is, and what he did or what he does is he gives a voice to, I don't want to say an underdog, but underdogs, or to people that deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And he helps them build a platform.
He actually just featured my best friend, Ken Pepper of Vivek Art Consulting, on the last cover. So.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I saw that. I remember that. That's,
yeah.
And
I might have squealed a little bit when I saw it.
But well, Alloyius, I mean, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. I'm talking to you casually because I know that. Some people may not know. Tell them who is Alloyius Mcilwaine?
It's so hard because I do a lot of different things, but most of them are inside of the realm of art. So I'm an international muralist, and I also do canvas work, like contemporary, abstract, graffiti, comic book style stuff, and I also do a little bit of graphic design stuff too for a lot of the big labels. Done a lot of work for the big labels, especially recently. Done Maker's Mark, Miller Lite, Apple TV, Netflix, Peacock, NBC Universal, Comcast. It's been crazy.
You were on a bus.
I was on a bus. Yeah,
you were on a bus.
Yeah,
your art was on a bus.
Yeah, the Maker's Mark bus.
Maker's Mark. Yes, absolutely. So you have evolved. Like when I first met you, though, you at the time, a lot of it was just more what was it at the time? What type of art were you doing?
I was doing a lot more of the abstract stuff at the time. Like it was more of like a like wild energy kind of splatter paint, but there was there's still elements of that in what I'm doing now. But as an artist, I keep trying to evolve the style to make it change and be different. Because if I'm painting the same things, I'm gonna get bored. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Plus, it's good to keep people on their toes too.
Exactly,
it really is. But what I really found interesting as we met, what you did was you painted Tammy Jean.
I did, yeah.
You painted Tammy. I mean, not just not saying you did a painting of her.
Yeah.
You actually painted her body.
Yeah, and that was such a funny thing because I usually don't do body paint, so I didn't know what when I went to the store to get the paints to paint Tammy, I had to rely on what the people told me at the store to use, which wasn't the right thing. Like I talked to some of my friends who actually do the body painting later. They were like, "No, you should have used this brand because it took so long to get because like when you have like human skin, like when people move and stuff, some of the paint cracks if you're not using the right stuff." So that was a whole learning process, but it was a really cool experience.
Was that your first time you ever painted something like
that? I did one other one like that, but it wasn't that extensive.
That was an intense thing,
with Tammy, it was like full body. With the first one I did, it was just like a small portion of the body, so it wasn't as crazy. Yeah,
and that's totally a little bit off the norm for you.
Yeah,
because you really are canvas or walls. Or,
yeah, usually. But I like painting on different surfaces. It makes it more fun to have a little bit of variety. Like I've done airplane and a helicopter and like buses and cars and stuff. At this point, I just painted a trolley for Founding Footsteps. So
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. That was great. I remember a few years ago saying to you, "Hey, you want to paint a van?" You're like, "I never did an automobile, but that sounds cool." Then I saw you did that for Timmy.
Yeah,
and it came out great.
Thank you.
It really came out great.
Yeah.
When we talk about it, like one of the things that I've always liked about your work and I liked about your art is the fact that you find a muse. You find someone that's a muse to you, and you will then translate that into your art onto the wall, into a mural. And not just that, Alloyius. I've been very fortunate to watch you on several occasions do your craft, work your craft,
Yeah.
you know? And the way you do it is so unique and so intricate. I want to ask you about it. Like, I want to, like, when I talk about it, for those of you who don't know, and you start to Google Alloyius's work, or you find him on Instagram, which actually his Instagram page is
Culture's Clothing on Instagram.
Culture's Clothing on Instagram. So, you know, and you'll find a lot of his work on there. But when you look at the pictures of what I call his muses, and he calls his muses as well, you started, there's like, you do like X's and O's.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
Well, explain that to me, because to me, that was a wild thing. Like, I mean, to me, that was almost like, is that like a paint by number, or?
It's so, it's actually something that I picked up from overseas and from watching YouTube videos. You know, when you're in school, they teach you about how, like, to do grids when you're trying to scale or like keep everything in proportion. So when I'm doing something like that, it's basically like providing a grid so that I can, like, what I'll do is I'll paint random letters, shapes, numbers, and stuff on the wall or the surface in like a light color. I'll take a photo of that and superimpose it over my reference image that I'm looking at. So then it helps me to keep everything in scale no matter how big the wall is. So that's what it is. So like after I get that part up there and I get all my lines and keep everything in scale, then that I don't need that anymore. So I just, you know, go over it.
It's so cool though.
Yeah.
I've watched that, and it's always fascinated me, because it's like, there was a bunch of A's up there.
Yeah.
There was some X's or D's, you know?
Yeah.
And that helps you then to draw the image together.
Yeah, it helps me keep everything in proportion. Just because, like, you know, I can just sit there and like paint a face on a wall without that, but like it'll probably take me like a couple hours more, because a lot of times when I'm up on the wall, I can't necessarily see what this, like the proportions and stuff are, like, because I'm too close to it. Like I won't see until I step back. So when I do it this way, I don't have to keep stepping back as much just to make sure I have all my lines straight. I don't have to make as many corrections. I can just, okay, all my lines go here. Now I can just focus on doing all the shading, which is my favorite part anyway. So
I never even thought about that. You know, people draw them. They're right here on a piece of paper. You know, it's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
When you're doing a wall.
You're so close to it that you're just, a lot of times you can't see unless you you keep stepping back to see what you're doing.
You're like in their face. You know, you don't see the rest of it.
Yeah,
So-
especially like if you're up on like an escalating lift and you literally can't go back unless you like take the machine and go and like make it go all the way backwards. You know what I mean? So it really helps to keep everything in proportion doing that.
How old were you when you first started art?
I had to be two or
Really?
three. Yeah.
Just started drawing or painting or?
So I was a super hyper kid, and I would always just like run around. So I know my mom would like ask me just to like sit down and draw her thing so that she could have like time to catch her breath, because I would just run back and forth nonstop. I was a hyper kid. So
Not much has changed, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. I drive my intern crazy all the time, because we'll just be doing something and like I'll have ADHD kick in. I'll start like dancing, or I'll forget what I'm doing, and I'll just run all over the place. She's just sitting there like sighing at me.
Hey, the life of an artist, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to my brain.
Yeah, no, it's funny. But I've been, I started out sketching my favorite comic book characters, and it kind of just progressed from there.
And you are when you talk about comic book, are you comic book or a superhero or both? What?
Yeah. I grew up on like the X-Men and the Spider-Man, and the Avengers.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Fantastic Four.
X-Men and Avengers. I knew
Yeah.
that was sort of like something you had an interest in and that you enjoyed.
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
Stuff. When was it that you like started doing the abstract part of it, and you started just doing abstract?
That's a good question, because I've never really thought about that. I'd say probably sometime around like 7th or 8th grade.
Okay.
That's when I first started doing some version of what I'm doing now with the shapes. It was different, but like what I'm doing now is more refined. But I was doing something similar to that back then, like 6th, 7th grade. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's so funny. Like some of the people that knew me in high school, because I used to just draw on all the borders and stuff of my my books. Like when they started seeing me develop the style, they were like, I recognize that. You used to do something like that in your books, like when we were back in school. I'm like, yeah, it's just a more refined like visual language now. But
Were you the person that like drew and doodled in your notebooks and on your book covers and didn't really take notes, just drew?
Literally everything.
Everything. Were you more focused? Did you know then that art was what your passion was? And what you
It's what
wanted to
I
pursue?
wanted to do, but like I don't think there was many opportunities then to do art as like a full-time profession. You know, like there was still that stigma back then where it's like artists starve, and that really, honestly, really didn't change until like it was people like Banksy and Shepard Fairey and Cause and some of those guys like got over commercially for doing this type of stuff that I'm doing, and I think it just kind of like opened up the floodgates. So it was like that, and also just like the development of social media, being able to market your own product, kind of opened up the doors for a lot of artists, because now we don't have to rely on other people as much. Is like if you're just getting on social media and like doing your own promotion like constantly, you can really put your stuff out there.
Can you imagine? Like I can't imagine, and I'm old enough to imagine it, but I can't remember times before social media.
Isn't that such a weird thing? It almost seems like it's always been here, even though like you kind of remember when it started popping up.
Because I had a guest on the other day, the Philly sports guy, the guy who paints his face there. And
yeah.
He had said the first time he did it was like 2001, and there was no social media.
There was no social media, yeah.
But you don't think of it like that because it's just blown up and taken over now. You know,
Yeah.
artists didn't have a chance to really get themselves out there then before that, unless they had like an agent or they
Right.
were out there mailing it out, calling people, getting doors slammed in their faces. So
Yeah, it definitely wasn't like it is now. There are a lot more opportunities for people to actually be able to make a career out of doing art now, which is amazing. There's a lot of people just doing like there's that one guy that really got famous for just sketching people on the train and stuff, and then just like showing them. Like he blew up. Now he's probably the most famous artist, like living artist in the world right now. Just like according to social media, like the amount of followers he has, it's ridiculous.
that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's great. And the touch, the reach you have, the connection you have, and you know, you have a reach. You know, you went from Philly, doing your art around Philly, pushing yourself, marketing yourself, branding yourself, because that's so important. People don't realize
it's super important. That's why I went to school for business.
Where'd you go to school?
Neumann University. Yeah.
All right. So you kept it local. You really did.
I did. Yeah.
Did you live at Neumann? Or did you
Oh yeah, I lived at
You
Neumann.
lived at Neumann. So
Yeah.
you had that. So you didn't go to school for art.
No. So when I first, the funny
You
thing
weren't like a
is,
Tyler Boy or anything like that.
no, like when I first went to school, I was trying to go for biochem, and then because like when I was in high school, my internship was at GlaxoSmithKline. Like that's the field I thought I was going into, and then I switched over to liberal arts and then to business. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. Okay. So the guy who sat there in class and drew in all his notebooks and all his books and everything didn't take notes. You didn't go to school for art. You went to school for business.
I went to school for business. Yep.
Did you, in the back of your mind, did you ever think, you know, I don't want to do business. I really have a passion for art, or was that never even an inkling in your mind that was going to be a career goal or passion?
Well, it was honestly one of those things where like I had a shift where I was like, okay, I know at a certain point, if anything's going to happen with the art, I'm going to need to know how to run a business. So, because in college, that's when I started Culture's Clothing, and I was like, I was making clothes to like get like beer money and money for books and stuff in college. So that's how that all started. But I wanted to really know how to run the business and stuff. So that's why I switched over so I can know what I was doing. Because the reason why I initially went into the clothes in the first place is because there weren't as many options for just like painting being like a career. So I was like looking for a way where I could be creative and like provide a necessity, because like everyone needs clothes. So I can put artwork on clothes and then sell it to people, and then they'll be wearing my art. So that was the thought process behind it.
Culture's Clothing.
That's how, yeah. And I'm about to do a big relaunch, probably like I think I'm doing I don't know whether I'm doing Cyber Monday or Black Friday, but that's when the big relaunch for Cultures is. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that backstory. That's a great backstory to know. So you started with clothes. What kind of clothing were you designing? And
you know,
making,
it was mostly like hand painted T-shirts and hats and jeans and stuff. And then I took some classes with my buddy Jules, who now has a like bracelet and like jewelry line that I'm always wearing and stuff now. So we both kind of went into doing fashion things. We took some classes to learn how to sew. And we were, started doing dresses and all kinds of things like that. Because I just want to, like, I'm like, if I'm going into this field, I want to know the craft. I don't want to just like skate by on the bare minimum, just putting out T-shirts and stuff. I want to learn how to make stuff. So then it was just one of those things where, like, because people knew me for the clothing line before the art, actually. So then once the art started blowing up, it's like the clothing line almost took a little bit of a back seat because it was like I had so many calls to do the artwork. I was just selling the clothes that I had on my website, but I wasn't putting out new stuff consistently because I just didn't have time. I'm one person. So then I was getting ready to start the big relaunch for the clothing line right when the pandemic hit, and then all the manufacturers shut down. So it took me a couple years to like regroup after that happened to like get back to putting everything out. But it kind of aligned well because like bringing on my intern Cam, now I had somebody to help me to do some of the stuff that I needed help with, just, taking off some of the load, because it's still hard doing the art and the clothing and all the other stuff. So I'm constantly running, so.
It's so cool to hear you say you have an intern.
Yeah,
That's
it's such
like,
a weird thing.
Well, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. Like when you could say that you actually, as an individual, not that your company or that you're working for a corporation,
Mm-hmm.
you as an individual, what you're doing, that you have an intern, you have somebody who is interested in working for you, that they need to work. It's
pretty cool.
That's really cool. That you've arrived, bro.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
Not just that. Like I said, you started in Philly. I mean, Graffiti Pier. That was, one of your places that, you're recognized for. You did actually during COVID, you did a building for us at D and Indy. You did for your birthday in June for your birthday.
Yeah,
you got some people together.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's definitely going to be in the book too.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a great day.
Yeah, and no, it was a fantastic day. It was a really cool
great
day. Yeah.
We did one in Miami.
Yeah, we did. We did with Amberella came and put the hearts on it too. Yeah.
I forget over at Philly Grub there in Little Haiti. That was really cool. So you've done a lot here in the States.
Yeah.
But what I've seen you grow into is you've gone international over the last few years. Tell me about international and how that's happened and where you've been and how you feel about it.
So a really cool thing was I remember my first international mural, I think was either in 2014, 2015. So I contacted one of my friends who lived in France, and I was just telling her, Iris, my friend Iris, I was telling her, it's one of my dreams to do a mural or paint in Paris, and she was like, okay, I'll call you back in a day, and I was just like, okay, because when people say that, you don't expect them to call you back in a day and have something for you. She called me back in a day. She set me up with C215. He was one of the big international artists. They actually call him the French Banksy. He actually knows Banksy, which is funny. Cool. But he, when I met him out there, he took me to different places, and he was like, "Here's his art. Can he paint here?" Because he had clout there. So he took me around and got me 3 murals, and was like, "Okay, I'm leaving to go paint in Rwanda. I'll be back in a week." And I was like, "I'm trying to be where you are in a couple of years."
That's
so
awesome.
he got me my first murals in Vitry. It's like a suburb of Paris. It's kind of like the Ardmore to Philadelphia. If just trying to give it's like the Ardmore basically. But it's funny because in the center of Paris, they try to maintain the aesthetic of the old stuff. So you'll have curated mural sections and stuff on buildings, but not like Vitry. Vitry is one of those places you go to and it's street artists everywhere. So that was a really cool place. So it just kind of expanded from there. I have stuff in 13 countries now. Something like that.
13.
Yeah. So I did...
in less than 9 years.
Yeah. I did Paris, London, Tokyo, Costa Rica, Casablanca, Punta Cana, Tulum. Where else? I did Puerto Rico, but obviously that's not a country. That's a territory. I'm forgetting something, but
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
I don't know
Windsor, Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I really think about it, I can name all
that's
the
cool.
ones. Yeah.
What was your favorite place you went to?
Ooh, I feel like I like them all for different reasons.
Very cool. That would be understood,
Yeah, because I feel like I had a completely different experience in all the different places. I feel like Paris felt the most home outside of the U.S.
Okay.
Because just the whole way that the city runs, if you walk around Philly, you're like, oh, I understand how the city runs, because it was based on Paris. Right. So it's really easy to get around there, and also I made a lot of friends just from I've done 6 murals over there over time, so I've made so I've made some friends and stuff there.
So not that you've just been in 13 countries. You've been back to Paris.
Yeah, I've been back to Paris.
6 times.
Yeah, several. Well, I was back to Paris 3 or 4 times. I just was doing 2 murals.
Multiple.
Yeah, every time I was there.
That's crazy to say that. That's where you've come to.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing to think about, because it's such an interesting thing. Because I grew up in North Philly, and so I remember seeing things on the news and CNN back when I was younger. It's these kids aren't going to be around when they're 25, and I've painted in Paris and Africa at this point, so it's such a mind blowing thing. And Casablanca was another place that I really loved for the culture and the people. I just remember. Because the funny thing is, they found me for Casablanca when I was painting in Paris. One of the guys asked me to come over there and paint for a festival that they were doing there. So I go over and I paint something for the festival, and I got to hang out with all the actors and actresses and over there. It was just a really, really fun time. Made some lifelong friends over there too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and you grew up in North Philly. Mm-hmm. Where in North Philly? What part?
Around Broad Erie.
Okay, so North.
Yeah,
right
it was
there,
like North Philly.
right?
Yeah.
The Kevin Hart mural.
Yeah, like literally the Kevin Hart mural is probably 60 feet from where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you were through the North Philly. You went through the Philly school systems too. Did you go to high school, or did you leave for high school?
I went. I was only in the Philly school system for up until middle second grade. Then I went to Friend Select down private Quaker school.
Oh, okay. In Center City.
In Center City.
But
yeah.
you're still living in North Philly.
Yeah. I lived in North Philly up until I was probably about 15, and then I moved out west.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So your childhood, you were born in a statistically area. What they said to you was very correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where most people are not going to live past the age of 25.
Yeah.
They're not going to get an education.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to make anything other themselves.
Yeah.
Statistically, they're either going to be in jail or dead.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you had everything going against you.
Yeah.
And here you are painting murals in 13 different countries.
It's such a funny thing.
And crazy things. And not just that, like, I thought it was cool. The new Fresh Prince TV show. Tell me about that incident, that whole thing
So
with him.
it was such a cool thing because like they contacted me to do work for the new Bel Air show, which is it's a Peacock NBC Universal thing. And the craziest thing is because I live in Overbrook now. When they contacted me, they didn't know that I was in I literally live
West Philly.
In the area, like not even just West Philly, the exact area that like Will and his family grew up in. So it's funny, like when they found out that, they were like, "Oh my God, that's such a like funny coincidence." Yeah. So they brought me on board to do art, and I did some art for the actual show. So like on episode 6 of season 1 of Bel Air, you can see my art on the show as Jabari, who plays Will on the show, is playing the piano. Like you'll see my art and stuff behind him, and then I also did promotion for the show at Philadelphia International Airport. They had me do a big mural that they had promoting the show for a while. Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about it, like here you are, you know, a kid from North Philly once again, you know, and I think that's important for people to hear and people to know that it gives hope. First of all, you know, because you know sometimes people that look like you don't get chances like that.
That's why I go to try to like talk to the kids and stuff when I can, just to let them know like there are opportunities out there.
I love it. So you go out and you talk to classrooms?
Yeah.
So that's cool. You know, and
the coolest one so far, because I've done a couple classrooms and stuff around Philadelphia. With the coolest one, I got contacted to talk to some kids in Columbia. So I talked to some like over like a Zoom thing. Yeah. They found my artwork online and like had the kids like ask me questions. Like that was the coolest thing. It's like, how'd you guys even find me?
That is actually really cool.
That was cool.
These are things that I think people need to know too, because I also think people think that concept of artist, a starving artist. You know, they just want to paint. They just want to paint. You see what they do? That's not just painting.
Yeah,
you know,
it takes a lot of work and dedication. The wall is
painting,
yeah,
you know,
because it's funny. Like I was just talking to somebody about this recently. Like even when it comes down to like pricing and stuff for the artwork, and a lot of people don't understand how pricing works. And I happen to paint fast, so some people like when you give them a price for the work and stuff, and they're like, well, you painted this really fast, but it's like I had to explain to people like it took me 40 years to be able to know how to do this that fast. It's not like this is not something that I'm able to do. I had to like learn how to do this fast.
It's your craft. It's like woodworking.
Right.
It's like making a table.
Right.
You know, you're not going to solder and putting together, particles.
You
know, that's a craftsman. It's a skill, and it took you 40 years.
Yeah, it took me because I could like the stuff that I'm doing now. I couldn't have done that 10 years ago. Like not at all. Like the faces that I'm doing now, like the realism and stuff, like I couldn't have done that 10 years ago.
Do you often like look at your old stuff and compare it to new stuff?
All the time. Like I obsess over it a little bit.
I knew that.
Even the stuff that I just paint recently, like my friend Kim like makes fun of me all the time. Because a lot of times, like if we're just sitting there, she'll catch me like analyzing my work on my phone. Because like every time I look at my work, I'm like more, bigger, better, more. So, which is why things are going so well, because it's like I have to make new stuff. And I'm constantly like pushing the envelope and putting new stuff out there. So it just helps when people are constantly seeing you make stuff.
You push yourself a lot, don't you? Very determined.
And I don't sleep.
You don't sleep. Your brain doesn't shut down, does it?
Just does not. Yeah.
You know, knowing you for as long as I have, and knowing your sister as well, she's another determined person. There's some pretty good genes in there for determination.
Yeah,
and
do okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't sleep, your goal and your focus is consistently on your art and your skill and your craft. What do you do for Alloyius?
The funny thing is, and people make fun of me about this, like, even in my like, if I'm going on vacation, I'll go paint. I like painting. Like, it's one of those funny things where, like, part of me, when I do get some free time, a lot of times I'm like, I really want to go and like join some like sports leagues and play like flag football and stuff, like, but I'm just like, I don't have enough time to commit to doing that. So like when I get like 5 hours free, I'm like, I'm going to go and paint something.
But that's all right though. You know what you like.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the Miami started too. We were both going to Art Basel, and you were like, do you know any walls down there? You didn't even. I was like, yeah, we'll get a wall. Got a wall, and you wanted to paint.
Yeah,
you wanted to spend the time where people were out there going to shows, and you wanted to paint.
Yeah, I'm doing that again this year.
Yeah. So how many times have you been down there, and how many walls have you painted down there so far?
Probably been down there. It's like 6, 7, 8 years. It's somewhere in that. I'd have to like really count back to know. So I'm not sure if that year that I was down there with you, if that was the first. I think that might have been the second year, if I'm not mistaken. That was the second year I was down there. Yeah. So
2017, I think it was.
Oh, then that might have been the third year then, because I think my first year was in 2015, 2016. Yeah.
I think it was 17.
Yeah.
Because Philly Grub was around, or maybe it was 16.
2016 might have been my first year, and I think 2017 might have been the year that we did that. Yeah.
Which is cool. And you have met some really great artists.
Yeah, a lot of amazing artists. Yeah.
What artist stands out in your mind that you were like a fanboy for?
Oh wow, it's. You know what's the funny thing is, I feel like I fanboy over a lot of artists that are like my friends, and that's why I just recently did this big collaboration show that I did called Chameleon, where I collaborated with 42 artists, because there's so many artists that are around that I love their work, like people like Sepper and Busta and like these guys. Like I love these guys, like I love their work, and I love like Kyle Confer. There's a lot of people.
All good names, all good people, all good dudes.
It's funny. Like I start like naming names, and I'm like, oh well, I have to say this person, I have to say this person, shout everybody out. I have to shout Emily out because she just did her.
She has a show.
She has her show right now.
Up. Yeah. Actually, Emily said that she would do the show once she's done with it.
It's so funny. I feel like a lot of people are going to see this and like, Lord, why didn't you shout me out? It's like my brain in real time. I have to think.
Just so you all know, Alloyius is thinking about you. If you didn't say his name, it's because we edited it out. All right, we cut it out.
I love all of you. I just have to think.
But that's another thing that I will say about you as well. Art can be very much an ego trip for people, for artists, and some artists can be all about themselves. And you are, and you probably to an extent are for yourself, which is a good thing because you need to be, because it's you. And you should teach your own horror. That is one of those things. But you also are very selfless and very community focused and oriented.
It's so funny because like my friends, my best friend Kim, she's always like, I gotta knock you down a peg or two so your head doesn't get too big. And like my intern teases me a lot too, because like I like, it's one of those things where I talk a lot of trash. Well, like I'm like, me, I'm very humble. I just like talking trash to my friends. But you know,
because you can. Yeah.
But the way I've always looked at it when it comes down to art, it's like I don't understand why like there would be like competition between artists, because it's like either people are gonna like my stuff, like your stuff, like both, or like neither. I can't control that, so it's like I don't understand why I should have, you know what I mean, like anything against you. Like and me personally, just the way I am, like I love seeing people winning. Like even if I don't know them, like if I see like another artist doing really well on Instagram, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like I'm happy to see this. So yeah, I never understood the other side of it, where it's like, oh, like the backstage, I want to see everybody win. That's just how I am.
No competition.
Yeah,
really is no competition. Yeah. And you have a great group of people, and there's a lot of people that I've connected with because of you.
Yeah,
and
vice versa actually, because I met Zerby because of that the wall. Yeah, that we did on my birthday.
Yeah, that was
Oh, I
That
definitely
was
have to
fun.
shout out Alex. I definitely have to shout out Alex. That's my buddy. He painted with me on the Fifth and Oxford wall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So he's
that
one of
was
the artists
recent.
on
The Fifth
that.
and
Yeah.
Oxford, right there by Billy Penn's studio. That was the Chameleon. What
Yeah,
was that about?
that was an offshoot of the Chameleon art show. So I called the wall Concrete Chameleon. So it was like basically from canvas to the wall, where I was just the more people that I wanted to collaborate with for like on this project I got for the on the wall section. So it was some of the same artists. Like I had Sepper and Zerby and Bernard and like some of the other people on for that thing, but also that's where I brought on Busta and Jay Martin and some of the other people that I brought on for this wall. Because there were certain people, there was just so much work I wanted to do for this project that I couldn't get all into the show. I did 42 paintings in 3 months, like an insane person.
42 paintings.
Yeah,
in
and
3 months.
that's why I'm pretty sure I had a nervous breakdown there somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Do you drink coffee?
I was living on coffee then, and like I don't feel like I drank that much coffee before, but I was only getting 3 hours of sleep a day, like for about 3 months straight, like working on that project. Yeah, it was one of the reason why it was so crazy. It was because it was like one of those things where like when I first had the idea for the show, I talked to a certain amount of artists, like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this show. Like, do you want to collaborate for it? And so then like about like 8 months passed, so I forgot some of the people that I talked to about doing the project. So when I really started getting into it, and I'm like, I contacted some more artists, and then the other artists hit me up like, hey, am I still a part of the project? And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. So I was like, yeah, no, like you're definitely still a part of it because I wanted you on there. That's why I contacted you in the first place. It was just my brain. When I really got into it, I forgot that I had already contacted some people. So then I was like, oh yeah, like, well now this is turning from like a medium-sized show into a big show. So I had to make sure I got everything done in that time frame, which was nutty, but it wound up being super successful. It was really cool.
That's crazy. And that's what I know about artists. Artists will just work around the clock. They won't sleep. They will look like shit some days.
Yeah.
They will look like they haven't slept in a week.
Oh, I look like a zombie. I was looking at some of the pictures like from the actual show, and like I always tend to have bags under my eyes because I just don't sleep. But like I had like suitcases. It was rough, but I got through it. Thanks to Kim and Cam. Like I literally couldn't have done it without them.
It's always good to have a support.
Yeah.
Know your circle.
That's the funny thing is, like I have a really, really, really good support system. You know, I'm really thankful for like all of my friends, like anybody that I called and said like, hey, I'm kind of drowning here. I need a little bit of help. Like everybody, you know.
That's a sign of character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a good sign of character.
Well, because I think what it is people know, like I always have everyone's back. So like when I need help, it's easy to ask because it's not like, you know, pretty much everybody knows me, knows that they can call me for anything they need. And if I'm free, I'm there for it. So,
what was the biggest mural you've ever done on your own, solo mural?
Funny thing is, outside of the couple collaboration murals, like most of them are solo ones. I'd say that the biggest one is, that's hard because I have one that's like 65 feet by 55 feet or something, or like 65 by 57. I have one that's like not as tall, but it's really long. I have a couple that are like 14, 15, 16 feet by like 150 feet. So I have a couple that are like that are just really long. I just did one for Mural Arts down at 20th and Atlantic in Philly that was 15 feet by 155 feet. So I have a lot of really, really long ones. I also did a really big one at Spark Therapeutic right across from 30th Street station that's like 45 feet by like 27 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have some pretty big ones, yeah.
So you get a lift and everything for these, you bring them out there, and you're not afraid of heights?
No, so I when I was younger, I used to be more afraid of heights. Now I'm more just wary of them. But like if I'm painting, I'm painting.
You're in a zone.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. Like I remember one time I was doing this mural, and it's right at what's that, like 16th and Chestnut, and it's like on the side. It's for like a pizza spot, and I did this mural, and the lift had to go over the pizza spot and then up higher, and I didn't feel safe, so that I was very wary when I was doing that one because I didn't feel safe.
This was sort of like
It was just the way it was, and like look, it was weird. It actually felt easier when the sun went down and I was up there painting because The perspective was different because of the lights and stuff.
Right. I bet.
So that was a little easy. But I usually don't feel it until I get up really high. Like if I'm around like 30, 35 feet, I'm fine. Like I really don't feel it until I started getting up to like 45, 50, 55 feet. And then I start feeling a little like, up kind of high. But then I just like focus on the wall.
I don't even want to stand on a balcony at that height.
Look straight.
That's amazing.
So I'll do anything. I'll do anything for art. But like there are a couple murals where like I see people and they're up doing like 100-foot tall murals, and part of me really wants to do one that's like 100 feet tall, but like I know that's gonna be like it's like one of those bucket list ones where I'll do one.
And
you know, and then it's I did one, yeah. But normally, like if we're staying somewhere in between, like at the top of it, like 45 to 60 feet, like that's comfort zone. I'm at least familiar where it might not be comfortable for me to be at 55, 60 feet, but I'm familiar with it, so I know how to deal with it. You know what I mean? 100 feet's a little different.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like going up on balconies like that, let alone
Yeah.
And a little thing that's swaying on a.
And you know what it is? I think the real thing that bothers me when I'm up that high, it's not even so much the height. It's that like when you're up that high on a lift, when the wind blows, it shakes because all the weight's at the tip of it. So like it starts shifting back and forth, and that's crazy. That's the thing that bothers me.
It's a skinny thing that lifts you up, and then you're on a large metal piece of landing. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I'd be freaking out. Are you kidding? I'd be screaming. You get me down. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So, you have a book?
I have a book, yeah. This will be my second coffee table book and technically my third book because I did a coloring book first, and then I did my Muses coffee table book, which had all the women that I painted over 6 years. And now this is going to be my first like mural, just solely focused on murals book.
The coloring book.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Fun. Yeah. No,
I think I probably have that in my.
Yeah. No, that was my first publication, and it's just like it was one of those things where people just always told me because of my style and the shapes, like you should do a coloring book, and I was like, that's a pretty fantastic idea, and I think I'm going to do another one sometime soon. I don't know when. Might be a 2025 thing, but okay. I should have another coloring book coming out soon. Yeah.
Goals. Your brain won't shut down.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my merchandising up. You know,
yeah, you need to. Your merch has to get up there for you.
Business.
Business. That's what the school was for. The education was for. You already had the art education on your own.
Yeah, because I can't be going up on 60-foot lifts when I'm like 80 years old. So I have to get my stuff so where my merchandising is running. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, let's hope by the time you're 80 years old, you've hit that spot where you don't have to get up on a lift. You know.
And the funny thing is, like knowing me, I'm probably gonna want to do certain things.
I was gonna say,
it's probably not a good idea moving like with my cane across this like little platform.
So you did a coffee table book on all the muses you did in 6 years.
Yeah, years? It was like a period of 6 years.
How many were there? Are there? Do you know?
Ooh, in that first book there had to be at least 400. Yeah, it was like 400 different women that I painted. Yeah.
Wow. And some of them are friends of yours.
Yeah.
That you've known and they're just friends that and some are people that you've just encountered. How do you come about finding this?
So my thing is, especially when I'm painting women, I usually, if I can, I like to paint my friends because it's like if I'm gonna just paint somebody, I might as well just like show some love to. I have a lot of beautiful friends, so why not do something where I can give them a present? You know what I mean? And on top of everything else, and it's always because the funny thing is, I usually don't tell them. Or I'll tell them that I'm interested in painting them, and then I'll get photos from them, and then I'll let time lapse so they forget, and then I'll just post it and tag them in it on social media, and they're just like, "What?"
That's a great gift.
Yeah,
that's a really great gift.
I remember I surprised my friend one day at Graffiti Pier actually, and she came to visit. I was like, "Hey, come," and she came to visit, and then she walked up and saw her face on the wall. It's a funny thing. Yeah.
Did you get video of that?
Oh, I got video.
Oh, of course you got video. That's sick.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the spot. Who is your favorite muse? No, I'm joking.
I was like, you're gonna give me 100 in the street.
Like 399 mad women going.
It's gonna be pitchforks.
But I think it's interesting that there probably number one, if you had that many, there can't be a favorite because each of them stood out to you.
It's different.
In a certain light or a certain way.
At that time too. It's like that's what the interesting thing about it is. It's like at the time where I was looking through images, that face like inspired me to paint them. So it's different, you know. Even the photos that I'm choosing for reference are different. Like there are a couple people that I've painted multiple times, and like, you know, the picture I painted the second time is way different than the one I painted the first time, just because I was looking for a different thing. So yeah, it's just about the energy of the moment sometimes. A little bit of serendipity in that. Sometimes I'll just be flipping through and I'm like, oh, that one, that's the one, you know.
I will tell you, I mean, I've watched you, you know, on several murals, on canvas. You've done live paintings for my nonprofit, where we've auctioned them off and raffled them off at the end. And I will tell you that, you know, it really shocks me that some people don't know the value of art nowadays.
Yeah.
But we can educate them on that, and that's what we're here for, because you just already educated people by saying, you know, like, it's your time. It took you this many years to get to that practice. It's almost like those things of like, you know, oh, I want it. Well, here's a DIY, then go do it on your own. You know, that's what you've done. So this, you know, this is definitely your. Did you ever think when you were a kid and your mom was making you do this that this would be your career, your profession?
It's what I wanted to do. Well, I wanted, obviously when you're a kid, you want to do different things. Like I wanted to be an astronaut too. I
want to be a cop. How weird is that?
Which is, it's such a funny thing because I actually like speaking of that, I'm painting an astronaut tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. So I was looking for something interesting to paint for my book cover for the new book. And landed on the astronaut breaking through a crack in the wall. So
that's amazing.
I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
And I was gonna wear my astronaut shirt holding the boombox today. That would have been
But
the thing is, I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll wear my Paul Carpenter shirt. You know. So your new book, tell me what that's about.
So yeah, the new book is gonna be mostly focused on my murals, but I'm gonna have a certain section in there that kind of features like a kind of like wall to canvas thing where it shows like some of the styles that I've developed on the wall and how I took that to do in like more of a contemporary art format. So there's going to be a portion of the book where I do something like that but the main like focus of the book is going to be on all my murals around the world, the abstract pieces, the muse pieces, all of them.
That's so cool. When you travel to other countries, do you ever go by yourself or you?
I usually have people with me. Yeah, because it's...
Take your entourage with you?
Here's what usually happens. It's either me and either my sister or even the whole family sometimes, or it'll be me and my my college roommates.
Okay.
Because a lot of... Like, we do 2 guys trips a year. One's to Miami for Art Week and Art Basel and everything. And the other one is like someplace overseas for us to just have vacation. But if I'm going to a place that I haven't been before, I'm going to paint something. It's just, I'm not going to go to a country I've never been before and not paint something. So I'm just one of those things. They've accepted it at this point. They're like, okay, well, this is the day where we know you're probably going to paint, and we'll kind of plan around that, you know.
So when you go to do you take your paint with you? You buy it there?
I usually have to buy it there because like you can't like you can't fly with spray paint.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so
that's how ignorant I am, but I didn't think you could.
Yeah,
pressurized stuff. Like
the funny thing is, even when I was taking the bullet train from London to Paris, I thought I was going to be able to just take the spray paint in my suitcase on the bullet train. Can't even do that.
So we ditched the spray paint and buy.
Luckily, Renda was in town the same time as I was, and so I had to give my paint. I gave my paint to Renda.
Renda.
Yeah.
Love Renda. I was actually going to say, you know, you did that collaboration at WoW.
At WoW,
here,
yeah.
But you also did another one with him.
That was when it happened in London.
Oh.
So the funny thing about that was it was just one of those like it's the serendipity. It's like one of those things. So I landed in London. You know, like the first thing you do is turn on your phone. You know, check to see what's going on. I just happened to log into Facebook. First thing I saw as soon as I landed and opened up Facebook when I landed in London was Renda posting. It was like 5 minutes ago. It's like just landed in London. Where are the good places to eat? And I was like, I just landed in London. Where are you? And so I hit him up, and then we met up, and we grabbed paint. We went just freestyle.
Did you know him before that?
I knew him before that. Yeah.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a trip. He's a great guy.
Funny thing about that is I actually the first time I met Renda was, remember when I was talking to you before we started about the charity event thing where I was live painting. he was in town, and I guess we had been following each other on social media. So I was live painting, so he just came to the live painting thing just to so we can meet in person. Really good dude.
Oh, amazing dude.
Yeah.
I've hosted him several times when he's in town. He stayed with me. And,
yeah, Renda's great.
I just tell him he needs to wear an aerator. He needs a mask.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, I think he's just too many fumes sometimes. He's a great guy, though. He's doing good things, too. And that's so cool,
Positive
too.
things,
You've been able to have these colleagues that have become, your peers that became friends.
Right.
And they became support. You collaborated with them, and we've each watched your journeys grow.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like there's so many people that I've just seen, we've grown in the art industry together. Like I remember probably 10, 12 years ago, King Saladin. He's doing amazing right now. I remember meeting him because we both went into Blick at the same time, and they had like a blank canvas thing, and they were letting people test out the new spray paint. So me and him went up to the thing and started painting at the same time. So naturally we started talking, kept in touch over the years. He's doing crazy things, amazing things.
Well, didn't he do something over at Boyd's too? Didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He did a thing at Boyd's.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
See, so you've seen people grow.
Yeah.
I've seen you grow, and that support.
That's why I say I love it. I love to see people winning. It's such a cool thing,
And you are sincere. So people that are watching, this is sincere. He does want to see people win.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humbleness going on there. There's a lot of selflessness in there. And I know that for a fact for knowing you so well, because I think people tend to get a misconception too that artists can have, an air about them, but also rightfully so. Look what they're doing. I mean, sometimes, but you are yourself, you give, you're philanthropic. You give back to the community. You give
as much as I can.
Charity. You do what you can. That stuff amazes me. Like I said, you don't sleep, you don't shut down, you don't do what do you really like to do though for fun outside of art?
Outside of art? So what I honestly my favorite thing to do outside of art is I literally just like going out to eat with my friends. Like just being out. I just love just enjoying the energy of just being out, going out dancing, having fun, just enjoying people's company. That's my favorite thing to do. But I am a big sports guy too. Yeah. Like I said, I wish I had time to go and join a couple leagues and play sports, but I feel like I beat up my body enough as it is, just climbing up and down ladders all day. My knees hurt. So it's
you get your workout, man. You get your workout.
Yeah.
So you're a Philly sports fan? All Philly teams? Have you ever done any work for any of the Philly teams?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a mural in Lincoln Financial for a year. They turned that one over, the one in Pepsi Plaza. And I did a game day poster for the Eagles. I did one of Devontae. And then I did a thing with Jalen Hurts that was actually pressed for the mural. Then I wound up doing, we played a flag football game, caught 3 touchdowns that game. That was the last time I actually played a flag football game.
And it reminded you why you want to do it ever again. Huh?
Yeah, it's so funny because Jalen was there. I probably went a little harder than I normally would have. And so
off those guns,
I remember one time I dove and I caught the touchdown and banged myself up, and I messed my leg all up and stuff too, because the field at that point was it just roughed me up. But I remember Jalen helped me up off the ground, gave me a high five and stuff, and I was like, okay, it was worth it.
That's so cool. See,
yeah.
Like I said, once again, I think there's a great correlation. I think it's a great, story and a great message for people to realize that, don't ever let where you're coming from, dictate where you're going.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people that have that mentality, that mind frame that I'm not going to get out.
And honestly, the funny thing is, just talking about where I grew up earlier, I know what that feels like. You know what I mean? It sometimes feels like you're trapped. So but sometimes just knowing that you have opportunities, you can escape that system. It's scary too. You know what I mean? It's I just remember growing up. I remember a lot of times I was scared. And a lot of people don't think about that because you see people and they're in certain environments and they look hard and stuff. But a lot of us are just scared humans on the inside. You know what I mean? Trying to navigate life, which in general just feels like a tornado that you just got thrown in randomly. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people don't realize that most people are just running around scared, trying to figure out what they're doing with their lives.
That's awesome. That's a great way to break it down. That really is, because I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, they really don't.
And if they do, they're afraid to admit it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to admit that.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people are afraid to admit that they're scared, but most of us are. Like, no one. Like, I was just talking to my intern about that, and she's like, you know, getting ready to go into college, and she has to wait to see if she's gotten in certain schools, and she's like terrified, waiting for, like, most of us, because we have no idea what's going on in life. It's literally like a whirlwind. Like, most of us are just walking around scared for most of the time.
Well, that's what they always talk about, though. Think about it. What do they say?
Yeah,
it's always fear of the unknown. And that's why they break fear down as false evidence appearing real. You sort of put that in your mind because you don't know what to expect.
Right.
So you're bringing that on. And
well, one of my favorite quotes is from a hip-hop song with Ross Sion, and he had this quote where he said, "Challenge your fears because shadows only appear when light is present." And that was like one of my favorite quotes of all times. That, you know, just, you know what I mean?
Deep.
Yeah.
But not really.
Yeah.
It's deep, but not, that's cool.
Yeah, I love that quote, because that's how I try to approach life. Like, you're only going to, like, achieve greatness if you challenge some of the things that you're afraid of, you know? Because, like, that's one of the things that people don't understand about art even. Like, I remember when I first started, it's scary to put your art out there because people are going to judge it. You know what I mean? It's scary to put yourself out there. That is not an easy thing.
So you've handled rejection well over the years?
Yeah. I mean, like,
or learned to, at least?
I think it's one of those things where, like, you, at a certain point, you realize that not everyone's, it doesn't matter what you do. Not everyone's going to, like, you have people that hate on Michael Jordan. Not everyone's going to like what you do. You know what I mean? So you can't worry about that. You have to do what you're doing for you and for the people that are going to appreciate it. And that's, like, once I changed mindset to know that that's what I had to do, things kind of changed. It was different.
I just can't believe people would hate on Michael Jordan. How? How do you hate on that man?
Well, you know, it's it's one of those things. It's, oh, like, I love LeBron, I hate Jordan. You know, it's like little silly stuff like that. So
it is silly.
Yeah, you know, like, so people have, like, their own tastes and thing. You know what I mean? So you can't really control that thing. Like, everyone's different. Everyone has a personality. Everyone has an opinion. So you can't really change that. Just, you know, do what you do for you and for the people who are going to appreciate it. And that's all you have to focus about. Because there's certain people that are, you know, I'm not one of those people that, like, tends to focus on, like, the people that are sending, like, the negativity and, like, the so-called haters and stuff your way. I choose not to focus on that at all. But it's one of those things that you see, though, because and you see a lot of it because of things like on social media, and, like, it's one of those things that I hate, because it's like you're hiding behind a keyboard sometimes, and then people, because they have a certain thing where they feel safe, they just go on and just are mean to other people. I never understood.
Keyboard muscles.
Yeah, like, I've never understood that. I like going out of your way to tear other people down.
It's people who hate themselves.
Yeah. I think it's like
it's
an insecurity thing. Because, like, I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I was like, I don't understand how, like, let's say you don't like the way someone looks. Like, how do you go to someone else's page and comment negatively on how they look? Like, you're making a, like, concerted effort to go and share your negativity to that person. Like, that's such a mean thing. So I've never understood that.
And I used to, like, think about that too, and now I look at it like, now it's just a sign of character, and, like, that person, I know what they're like. Right. Now you're showing your true colors. Right. And shame on you. You know. Yeah. And I think that happens a lot in relationships and in personal life and in day to day. We don't focus on what the actual issue is at hand or what's going on. We focus on something personally because now it's a personal attack. Right. I'm going to hurt that person instead of focus on what the real issue is.
On what the real issue is. That happens a lot. Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad that humanity has got to that point.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But like I said, you can't focus on that stuff. You kind of have to just focus on the positive and all the good stuff.
And that's why I love the fact with you, because your art is positive. Your colors are vibrant. I don't know any of your work that is like dark color or scheme. There might be something. Yeah, there are a couple. Like, if I do, like, black and white sketches and stuff occasionally, but, like, for the most part, my stuff is very bright and colorful. It is bright and colorful. It cannot be missed. Yeah, it is all over this city. It is all over the place. You know, if you had one artist, one big artist to collaborate with, who would it be?
Ooh, that is tough. That is really tough. I really like, I'm a big fan of mural artist Tristan Eaton. He comes to mind as one. There's a guy, Helio Bray, that's super talented. There's honestly so many that it's hard to even, because I know I'm forgetting people that I absolutely love. But those are two that pop up right away where, like, pretty much every time I see what they're putting out, I'm like, that's phenomenal.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you had your next book's coming out, and that is coming out.
It should be sometime around first quarter of 2024, because we're about to start the pre-orders, and usually it's going to take like 3 or 4 months for production.
Do you have other books on hand if people want to buy your old copies, or?
Yeah. I have my Muses book. I actually have to. I'm almost sold out of the coloring book. I have to it was one of those things that the guy that I used for my original like manufacturing went out of business. So now I just have to find a new person to do the production now, which is why I haven't restocked on that. But I have plenty of my Muses book in stock.
What's your website?
AlloyiusMcIlwaine.com, and you're probably gonna have to put a little thing under.
Oh, your name will be on here. They'll know exactly how to spell it, just to make sure they spell it right. You know, but and if they want to find you out there on Instagram,
yeah, it's at Cultures Clothing on Instagram.
Are you a TikToker?
I'm on TikTok. Yeah.
I'm trying to embrace it. I still can't.
No, I usually post my time lapses, my videos,
Oh, okay.
like my street art
That
and
makes
stuff on there.
sense
Yeah.
for you, yeah. And it's Cultures Clothing as well. You keep
on TikTok, I think I'm just Alloyius Mcilwaine.
Okay, so you get that on there. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So yeah, it's one of those interesting things where I've been talking with some people about, like, especially when I do the relaunch for the clothing line, like separating the cultures and the Alloyius Mcilwaine art and have them function as like 2 separate things, but they're just logistics of that, because I have to, like, it's weird. It's a logistics thing.
It's hard because you're branded with both.
Yeah, and it's one, like, because I wanted to continue like the main account that has all the followers with I want to turn that into Alloyius Mcilwaine art and like start my cultures just to really focus on the brand stuff where I'm just posting stuff about the clothing.
Right.
So obviously the one where I'm like showing more of myself, I wanted to have that as my main thing, but there's some logistics to doing that though, so I'm still trying to figure out that. But that's going to be the
Man, with a name like yours, you could just be, eponymous like Prince. You could just be Alloyius.
Yeah.
You don't even need Mcilwaine, just Alloyius. Banksy, Alloyius. I think that would be pretty cool.
And then I can just be a symbol after a while too. It's funny, I already have a symbol, so I can just be that.
You actually do, and it's like a.
Yeah, it's like a maze with my initials and the crown on top.
Oh, yeah. I know this stuff. You'll recognize that out there. Any other big projects coming up and down the line? Anything? Anywhere you're going to be?
So I'm going down to Miami for Art Week.
First week in December.
First week of December. That's like the next thing. The book is like the main thing. Cool. Like one of the things, but there's I don't know if I can talk about it yet. That's the only thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have you come back and talk about that.
Yeah.
That way, when it does, everybody's gonna be, what the hell are they talking about? You'll find out.
Yeah. There's something with an A-list celebrity that I just did that I'm just waiting to be able to post and talk about it.
And that's the hard thing when you have like such great news like that, but there's like those disclosure things, and you don't want to say it. I mean. I got a big mouth. I'll be the first person that blurt out like, "Hey, I'm working with so-and-so." Like, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, I finished the thing in September. I've been like holding on to it since then. I'm just like,
oh man, so it's like a hot coal just burning.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as it comes into fruition, we'll talk about that again.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, I can sit here and talk to you for hours just because I enjoy it. You have the attitude, you have the heart, you have the spirit.
Thank you.
Your vibes are amazing. I mean, you have connected, like I said, with so many people all over the place. People connect with your art. You need to really go out there. You need to get on the internet. You need to get out there on Google and check out Alloyius Mcilwaine art. You will get the spelling because I'm not going to spell it for you. Danny will put it at the bottom there for us.
Yeah, come visit me while I'm painting. It's so funny. The one thing is people don't like when they meet me in person, they're like, "Oh, you really are that friendly, like as you are online." Like, no, it's not an act. Like, I'm really friendly.
And he's serious. When he's painting and he's posting, that's where he's at. Out. Stop by. You did the one at the underpass that one time, and I kept stopping by.
Yeah.
With the sunflower. Yeah. And that also gives you energy.
Yeah, it does.
And
I like talking to people. Yeah.
You never know who could be the next muse.
Very true.
Never know who the next muse. So, Alloyius, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. I love you, buddy.
Love
You're
you
one
too,
of the best.
Appreciate it.
And Danny and Justin, thanks for always keeping me on track, or as best as you can keep me on track. And like I said, make sure you check out Alloyius Mcilwaine on Instagram, especially Cultures Clothing. Check out his website. Check out his art. You won't be disappointed. I appreciate your time. Everybody else out there, remember, whatever it is you stand for, be a voice. This is Britt Carpenter on Usala Media. Have a great rest of your day.